Do you want free, informative, and entertaining Dallas Mavericks coverage? You've come to the right place. This is Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Jeffrey Cooperstein. Subscribe to the channel right now and help us get to 31,000 subscribers. Do it for Klay Thompson, and let's get right into today's show. Does Kyle Kuzma want to be a Dallas Maverick? That's what we're talking about on today's show, and there are some reports. Now, I will say the reports are coming from our good friend Jake Fischer, a.k.a. Flip Flop Fisher. It's where, I'm so sorry, y'all. So take it with a grain of salt, but he did say that he thinks Kyle Kuzma has legit interest in coming to the Dallas Mavericks, and if that is true, my response is pretty simple. You had your chance, Kyle Kuzma. You could have been a Dallas Maverick if you wanted to last year when the Mavericks offered a trade for you and you rejected it. The Wizards said, hey, we'll send you to Dallas if you want it. The choice is yours. He said no, he wanted to stay in Washington and build with what they had going on. Thing is, they had nothing going on. And now Kuzma's stuck in between a rock and a hard place. Rumors are rumbling that he wants out. The Los Angeles Lakers, who we'll talk about here on the back end of today's show, just made their move for a wing. The Mavs don't really need a wing of Kyle Kuzma's caliber. Now, they do need a backup four because Maxi Kleber just ain't it, and we all know that. But he had his chance, and I think that ship has sailed as far as Kyle Kuzma coming to the Dallas Mavericks goes. Kuzma's still a solid player. He's not having nearly as good of a year as he did in the last 3 seasons where he put up career numbers in each of those years. He's only played in 12 games this year dealing with some injuries. 16 points, not very efficient from the field, less than 6 rebounds. I just think it's funny that Kuzma didn't think the Mavericks were ready to contend, and that was the main reason why he rejected the trade and wanted to stay and build something in Washington. As Michael Scott would say, how the turntables. I wanted Kyle Kuzma last year. He rejected the Mavs at the trade deadline. Mavs end up going out and getting his teammate Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington, and those were 2 catalysts that got the Mavericks to the NBA Finals. Now he's desperate to get out of DC. You had your chance with us, Kyle. The ship has sailed. It's just, there's no reason for Nico Harrison to make a panic move like this. Now, I'll say this. Kyle Kuzma's contract is relatively affordable, and it is descending, which NBA teams absolutely love. But I just don't see a way that the Mavericks do this deal unless it's an absolute no-brainer and the Wizards are offering pennies on the dollar, and it sounds like that's not going to be the case. Kuzma making $23.5 million this year, goes down to $21.5 million next season, and then in the final year of his contract, it's less than $20 million. So the contract itself isn't bad, but what the Mavs would have to give up, it just simply wouldn't do it. And like I said, the Mavs hold all the cards here. If the Mavs wanted to if the Wizards were desperate to make a Kyle Kuzma trade to the Mavericks, the Mavs hold all the cards. If the Wizards want to give you an offer that you can't refuse, then fine. If not, we'll see you. If not, sorry, you could have been a Mav last year. You didn't want to be, and now we're up, and you want to join the train. Nah, it doesn't work like that. Stay on that side. We know where you stood in the first place. You can stay on that side right now. I'm good on Kyle Kuzma. I don't need him in this locker room. I don't need him starting because I think PJ Washington is much more valuable to this team than Kyle Kuzma would be. And hell, I think Najee Marshall is more valuable to this team than Kyle Kuzma would be at this point. Marshall got into the fight, standing up for his teammates. He's standing on business with PJ. I'll ride with Najee Marshall any day of the week. I think those guys are more valuable to this team than Kyle Kuzma would be in a potential trade where you'd have to give up draft assets and a guy that you probably don't want to give up in Daniel Gafford or PJ Washington. I know you have Maxi Kleber as salary filler as well. I don't think there's much on this Mavericks team I'd give up. Now, like I said, if they want to give me an absolute Godfather offer that the Mavs could not refuse, all right. If not, I'm good. Mavs can find somewhere else. You be the GM. Would you trade for Kyle Kuzma? Let me know down in the comment section. Type T for trade or type P for pass. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So when I tell you about our sponsor, Prize Picks, over here in just a couple of moments, go on down there and get your votes in. I think you know where I stand. It's an easy pass for me, but let me know what you guys think down below. I do need to tell you guys about our lovely sponsor, which, of course, is Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Join now because this holiday season, PrizePicks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. They gave away the Nikola Jokic pick for Christmas, and that was an easy win where you just pair that up with 1 to 5 other projections, and you can basically have a free win there as well. And they also offer weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. And here is my lineup for tonight's tilt against the Sacramento Kings. I'm going to take the more on Kyrie Irving, 28.5 points. He had a season high the other night against Portland in the loss, but Kyrie is the number one option. I'll take the more on that. I'm also going to take the more on PJ Washington and his return to action after the 1-game suspension. And then again, I will take the more. We're going all mores on Domantas Sabonis rebounds. It seems like he always kills the Mavs on the glass, so I'm going to take the more on that one as well. You can copy my picks, or you can make picks of your own. Just please make sure you do it with our friends over at PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive that bonus. It is guaranteed. Again, download the app today and use code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you play that first $5 lineup. That link is going to be clickable in the comments and the description of today's show. It is PrizePicks. Run your game. This happened Sunday afternoon. The Lakers traded for Dorian Finney-Smith, so unfortunately, Dorian is not coming home. Would have loved to see Dorian back in a Mavericks uniform, but it just wasn't to be. The Lakers get Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton SMU product in exchange for D'Angelo Russell, Maxwell Lewis, and 3 second-round picks. And Lewis was their second-round pick just a year back. So basically 4 second-round picks and D'Angelo Russell for Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. I love this trade for the Los Angeles Lakers. I think they made out like bandits here. Didn't have to give up a first-round pick. They added flexibility for them to make further moves at the deadline, and Dorian's going to be a great fit. I think you can start Dorian alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis with Austin Reeves out there, and that's a really good starting 5 when you have LeBron, Reeves, Finney-Smith, Davis, and whoever else you want to put out there on the court, whether it's Max Christie or literally name anybody else, Dalton Knacht. It doesn't matter. I still think when you have those 4, that's a fantastic starting 5, and I think the Lakers got significantly better, and it takes another Mavs trade target off the board. So I don't want Kyle Kuzma, Dorian Finney-Smith no longer available. Where do the Mavs pivot? Or do they feel like they have to pivot right now in the West? And do they feel like they have to upgrade at wing? I think they do, because I just don't think Maxi Kleber gets the job done at backup 4. I think that's pretty obvious considering how he's played over the last few minutes. He played 33 minutes the other night against Portland, didn't score a point, is allergic to shooting. I think they do have to make an upgrade there. But when you look at the West standings, I mean, that's a big move for LA, who's sitting right there at 5th place at 18-13, just behind the Mavs, who are at 20-12. It's a good move for the Lakers, and I definitely think it makes them better. Now, I will say this. The Mavs can't panic here. They see the Lakers making a move well in advance of the deadline, almost 6 weeks in advance of the NBA trade deadline. And big picture, I don't think this will happen because the Mavs are very calculated in how they do this. But don't panic if you lose a couple of games. And don't panic if you lose a couple of spots in the standing without Luka. They're going to have to make it basically to the trade deadline without Luka. I would wager to say even to the backside of the All-Star break without Luka. If they're sitting in 6th or 7th place by the time Luka comes back, I think that's just fine. You don't have to make a panic move, and don't give up a key asset just because you're losing a couple of games here. This is about the big picture. This is about the long run, and you can't lose sight of your goal, which is to win the 2025 NBA title. If you lose sight of that, you make a panic move at the deadline, it kind of throws a wrench into things. So you just have to be calculated. You have to be precise in the moves that you make. I don't think Nico Harrison will make a panic move. He's not known to do that. So I have faith in this front office that they will make the correct moves for this team. And if the correct move is making no move at all, I think that's okay too. Now time will tell. And I know the fan base would freak out if the Mavericks didn't make a move at the deadline, because that's just how NBA fandom works nowadays. But if the right move isn't out there, don't make that move. Don't panic. Stay calm. This team's going to be just fine. I know they've lost 2 of 3. Go out there and win the night. Everything will be just fine, and we'll be good to go. What seed do you think the Mavs will finish with? Do you think they'll be the 4? Will they be the 5? Will they be in the play-in? Let me know down in the comments what you guys think the seed the Mavs will finish with. And this will be the end of today's show. It's youtube.com/MavsTV. My name is Jeffrey Cooperstein. Thanks so much for joining me on today's show. I'll be tweeting about the game later tonight, a late tip-off West Coast, so we'll be staying up late. It's 9 p.m. Follow me on Twitter at Jeff_Coop27. And I'll see you guys soon here on Mavericks Today. Thanks for joining me.